All right, meanwhile, a curious conversation between the French president and the Saudi leader caught on video. The conversation between the two men happening on the sidelines of the G20 summit. Emmanuel Macron reportedly telling Saudi Prince Mohammed bin Salman, or MBS, "I am worried," I'm quoting now, "I am worried," and, quote, "you never listen to me," end quote. It's important to note that we don't know the context of these comments. Joining us now to discuss is Fareed Zakaria, host of CNN's Fareed Zakaria GPS. Fareed, good to see you. So what do you make of this exchange between Macron and MBS? I mean, they are out in the open, but at the same time having a very private conversation, and this camera nearby was able to pick up some of the audio, some of which has been translated that way, as I just mentioned. What do you think?
Well, Frederica, you put it very well in the sense that, we're reading tea leaves here. But it's fair to say that Emmanuel Macron has really taken on the role of the kind of moral leader of the West, the spokesman for liberty, democracy, the liberal international order that Donald Trump has essentially forsaken. And so it wouldn't surprise one if, in fact, President Macron was there telling him that, MBS needed to be more forthcoming, more transparent, perhaps, scolding him in a sense, because that is something Donald Trump most resolutely will not do with any leader he likes. We saw the same pattern, and this is why it's possible that what we caught on audio is reflective. We saw the same pattern with Vladimir Putin. President Trump has, famously never had an unkind word to say to Vladimir Putin, and yet Emmanuel Macron, days after he was elected president, had a joint press conference with Putin, and directly at the press conference, in full public view, reprimanded him, scolded him, asserted that Russia was doing things in Ukraine that were unacceptable, that the interference in Western democracy through cyber attacks was unacceptable. So all the kind of things that, again, traditionally the American president has done, President Macron has been doing. So it wouldn't be surprising if Macron decided to extend that to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as well.
All right. And then from that audio, what's being deciphered is based on, they're both speaking English in what is being picked up in that videotape. And so many have been listening intently to see, what more is being said. Meantime, also at that G20, there is that image of MBS and then Russian President Vladimir Putin interacting there. I mean, a high five, a very friendly handshake there. What does that say to you about their relationship?
Well, look, the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, is not going to care whether or not Mohammed bin Salman ordered the assassination of a journalist. I think it's fair to say that President Putin has done similar things himself. And so, if anything, there's a certain kind of camaraderie which you see expressed there. I don't know what it was about, of course. But, more broadly, Russia has never had a problem with governments that violate human rights. China has never had a problem with governments that violate human rights. It is the United States that has been the world's leader on these kinds of matters. So it doesn't surprise me at all that Putin would be glad to see Mohammed bin Salman. For him, if anything, it means that they might be able to forge some kind of stronger relationship.
Yeah, and talk to me about the setting there at, say, the G20. While there may be orchestrated meetings, there are also opportunities in which many leaders see each other, catch each other's eye, then decide to have a little bit of chat. We know that Trump, leading into it, had canceled a planned meeting with Putin, but now reportedly, apparently, they may have had a moment together. What is the kind of opportunity that leaders would take in a setting like this, even if it's a sideline, broach?
Well, that's, again, exactly it, Frederica. It's the side meetings, it's the informal conversations. The actual G20 can be a very boring conference because there are too many countries. It's not actually just 20. They have a whole bunch of invited countries. So you're talking about, between presidents and secretaries of state and such, you're talking about 100 people in the room. People are essentially making speeches. Yeah. But in the sidelines, you can have real conversations, you can have real diplomacy take place.
That could be the real breakthrough moment sometimes.
Absolutely. And in many cases, that's where you manage to get to. You could see that, Mohammed bin Salman and Macron one-on-one, Putin and MBS one-on-one. We don't have any reports that President Trump used that forum for that purpose, but he may well have.
All right, Fareed Zakaria, thank you so much. Always good to see you.